Good evening, everyone. System Chalk here with the 104th episode of Book of Hours, playing as the artist, and we hit a couple. I don't even know if it really counts as a milestone, but we've um, definitely at a point where we need to make some choices in terms of how I want to spend my time. So we are finishing up transformations and liberations. That's 15 seconds. We'll be down our medal for today, but I think I can live with that. And I think probably the direction I'm going to go today, help with letters, I could offer help with correspondence and arithmetic. There is no school in Brandkrug, and not everyone here knows their letters. So here's what I'm thinking. We can, so I do want to start opening up some more rooms. The fact of the matter is that we can add a couple more books. So I think we'll put my deeds, my powers, my achievements, and the injustices perpetrated against me. I can only hope of writing such a book one day. But yeah, I think I'm reasonably comfortable adding that to the list. But the important thing to remember here is that there's no direct relationship between me leveling up a skill and me opening up a room. So it's not like you can take, resurgences and emergences and boost a barber, 9 moth. If you could, it would be trivial to open up the whole house. So what the main focus really has been is I've been wanting to level up the skills so that I can have a clear idea of what is easy for me to produce and what is a challenge. So for instance, if I could level up Edict's Marshal some more, that would give me pretty regular access to a Wormwood Dream. Now, Wormwood Dream is not so hard for me to get, and in fact, it might be one that I'm willing to put some effort into getting, through other means. And I believe that, at minimum, would get me to the Screaming Summit, and possibly the Ravaged... Yeah, actually, I think between the Screaming Cellar and the... Screaming Summit and the Ravaged Cellar, I believe both of those would actually be open as a result. I do need to find a better knock memory. I think a Curious Hunch would be the way for me to make that work. Interestingly enough, I remember one of the rooms had an old newspaper which was good for generating an occult scrap. But it's clearly not in here. So that must mean at some point I found an old newspaper and I put it in that room. Perhaps I would want to I'd want to visit the beach a little bit more often. But yeah, so there's a couple of things. I don't know. There's targets of opportunity, let's say. But I think what I'm going to do today. So we'll start by replenishing my Newman. And at some point over the day, I will try and generate an old moment. But the other thing that I'd like to try and do is maybe do an inventory of what kind of memories that I can generate, because that's going to give me an idea of what I have access to in the Kukerbit and possibly in the Dawn period rooms. And that's not a major concern right now. Like, it's something that I kind of want to do so that I can just sort of jot down some notes to that effect. But the good news is that I have enough time that I would still be able to, still hire a barber if, let's say, I wanted some moth or rose. I don't think... Oh, yeah, there is a rose. Actually, yeah, that's maybe another thing for me to consider. So, the rose challenge that I have would be 11. Let's take a minute to think about that, actually. Oh yeah, I already have thought about it. So if we start with... Or have I? Okay, so if I hire a barber... So Barber has 1 rose. So we use the Fet, which is 2. The Horizon Sight. Okay, so that would be 3. Horizon Sight. So that's 4. So that's 7. Roscragon Whiskey would bring it up to 9. Lunar Globe. Oh, man, I feel... Give me a minute here. Oh, wait. I see it. Yeah, we're 1 short with the Barber. That's a real shame. Okay. I'll make do. Although while I'm at it, so I have Nectar, Moon, Rose, Sky, Winter, Heart, Forge, Nock, Scale. So all of those things I don't believe are covered by the Newman. Mrs. Gill stands ready to help. You always cheer me up, she says morosely. Mrs. Gill has seen more of the world than she usually lets on. Conversations with her yield the occasional surprise. The skill is now level 7. Its power aspects have also increased. Forge and Moth are less different than we think. Every change is in some way a release. So this will not be the most exciting thing for me to do, but what I'm actually going to do here is I'm going to take the Edict's Liminal. Okay, so we've got any number of Moth and Nock things here. So if I add a liquid, that gets me the Glassfinger Toxin. If I add the Glassfinger Toxin itself, we get the Sacrament Ascite. The Sacrament Ascite, if I can get a if a Curious Hunch, that would allow me to send Reverend Timothy off to open up a room. But we don't have it. So what about mothy things? So the big problem here is that it's one thing for me to have, moth memories and such. It's another to find inputs. So I remember honey was an input to get Skin Shuck Mead. So maybe if I start with the... Okay, interesting. So I wonder if I add a regular honey, and then under matter I would need to find the relevant moth. We should have a moth orchid though. Cool. That's everything actually. Okay, so that's good to know. So I have high powers of Moth and Nock that I can apply to people. And now we can do the same with Inks of Revelation. Now if they put Asmiel there... I don't think that's... Well, I mean, I can try it, but... where would I find the 5 moth? Well, I probably find the 5 moth from the Newman. Yeah, those aren't going to help me. The other one that I'm curious about is this 5... I wonder if this is a nectar thing. Yep. Okay. Oh, you know what? How much you want to bet that this is... You know what? This might even be Lantern. I don't think I have the Lantern to pull it off, though. Let's try it, though. I think this might get me porphyrin, but without using or no, hang on. I think this one does use rose, and it's a complete pain in the neck to make happen. Yeah, because I've already got 15 rose that I'm applying towards this. The other possibility is it's ashertine, but yeah, no. I'm pretty sure this is going to be a rose recipe. Okay. Resurgences and emergences. Now, I think this one was about the... the momets. Okay. Oh, interestingly enough, I don't seem to have the chimeric larva, so... Oh, but I do have the Paralysimigo. So, never mind. Okay, so if I can find a workbench that will take Grail... Actually, I guess it's a workbench that can take... I guess I'm specifically looking for a workbench that takes resurgences and emergences, although I don't have access to that yet, so never mind. Transformations and liberations, on the other hand. This is one where hopefully we can see some movement. Oh, hang on. Yes, I do remember this one. If I add liquid to scholar level forge, the essences will take longer to cool and redden into something more potent. So... Okay, I already knew how to make the iotic essence. Fair enough. I believe if I add a xanthotic essence... Now that's interesting. I'm really coming up short on the lantern here. What do I do to get 3 lantern from basically a material? I don't think I do. I think I find other ways to work with this. Because at some point there should also be something that I need to do with moth at this point, but yeah. I don't think it's worth spending that much time fussing with it. The Inks of Containment, I'm in kind of a similar boat to some of these other ones. Like, it's useful, but it's not that useful right now, although I do wonder if I can pull the same... Well, obviously not here. I was wondering if I could pull the same trick with the Maricat. Let's try... Oh, I can't put Tristan. Ugh. Alright. I'm not making it easy for myself. I'm gonna leave this aside because I don't really have... Well, try something with Moon, I suppose, but... Alright, so if I had a beverage, an Eigengrau is a good place to start, but I think I need a little more... Okay, so... 2 Moon... Oh, I found something for the Mommet. Oh, hang on. At the old wound. Yeah, there's the Lethe. And then the Lethe, I believe I need to use with... I'm pretty sure it's Inks of Power to make Maricat. Anyway, the main thing I want to be working on right now is something that will improve the people I'm sending into the rooms, and I don't have quite as many of those. The sacrament ascite is helpful, but it's not the last word. Okay, there we go. Flushed moment. I wonder if I can do something with the Ruby Wise Ruin as well. No. All right. Sickle and Eclipse, if we do Remains with Moon. Okay. So that'll make itself. Presumably the edge would provide oh, interesting. I was thinking that it might give a winning move, but that does not seem to be the case. So that must mean that I add a leaf to get Perinculate. How do I pull that off? Maybe. Not there, I don't. Okay, so that doesn't take Moon. That's not gonna work. This might, though. Huh. I don't have any burnable leaves? Oh, right. I think they actually patched that out. Because I think it was Fragrant Chalice wound up being this insanely good input. Okay. The more I think of it, I may not even be able to use the kitchen range for this stuff. Oh no, they take leaves. But again, I can't put Sickle and Eclipse in there, so... Fair enough. Not that Perinculate is the most important thing I can be working with right now anyway. So Quenchings and Quellings... Yeah, okay, so we can get Regensburg Bomb... Something more potent. I wonder if that's Ruby Wise Ruin. No, it's Gideon's Soaks, for crying out loud. I got it right in front of me. Okay, we don't have the winter, so let's not worry about that. Not really learning a whole lot that I don't already know here, to be completely honest. I imagine Rites of the Roots probably gives me Maricat, but I'm not going to pursue that too far. Let's see what Sacralamea does. Name Day Riddle, Mazarine. I do have the Mazarine Fife, right? Yeah. That's a helpful input. Actually, hang on. I'm going to take a minute here just to see. I did calculate a couple of room entries, but I have a feeling that I've been shorting the sky. Holy smokes, have I ever. Okay, so let's take a minute here. So with Sky, we would bring in Mr. Kill. So Mr. Kill starts with one Sky already. So then we would use our Faust, which is good for 1. So under Tools, we would want to use the Mazarine Fife. And I suppose for a minimum we would start with the Storm. So 1, 2, 5, 9. And then for the T, we can get 1 from the T. That would bring us up to 10. And unfortunately, I don't think there are sky... So that's the catch. There's not really any sky food. So there's... It's a little encouraging, but we're 1 short still. And there's no sky wood either. So the other thing that I can imagine here would be if I could create a Didymos. And the problem is that I'm a bit short. I mean, 5's not a disaster. I would need to come up with 10 sky to generate it, but some of the instruments help. So if we took a Faust, which is 1, Sacrolamea would be 5, so that gets us up to 6. I guess the Storm would be 10. I suppose from there we would need to add... well, yeah, the more I think of it, maybe we actually take the time to try and make a strong sky sky memory. So we'll take the Trist. I think my strongest sky right now is Sacrolamea. So we start with an Awakened Feather. So Sacrolamea with Prentice level sky creates the Awakened Feather, or for a Scholar level recipe, whisper it to carved wood and enchant an instrument. Ah, okay. So this actually wasn't a good example because it doesn't give me what I need. Drums and Dances is a special case because it doesn't have sky. So I'm actually running low on the powerful sky stuff. Bells and braziers, huh? That's not a promising start. Okay. Okay, so Watchman's Paradox is, honestly, at this point, it would make more sense for me to go to the Pale Desk, add the Faust, and at least this way I can add the Mazarine Fife. For Scholar level recipe, apply the formula to a light. Oh, interesting. Also, it's not at 10. This is just to make the Wistful Air, which I don't mind. You know, that I might be willing to do on its own, but there's other ways that I can generate. There's the other way that I can generate music without using like an instrument. I can just read a book for that. Okay, so let's go back to Bells and Braziers. But the question is, where do I get the other 4? Well, I get that from a Storm, but what does that get me? Well, actually, I guess the Storm is worth getting on its own. So let's... yeah, I think the more I think about this, the more I think it makes sense for me to try and get a Didymos, which is the Keeper level sky. And the thing that's nice about that is that I believe the Wind in Waiting is also near... Actually, it might even give me the sky that I need on its own. It has different aspects, but... let's take the Swaddled Thunder. I think I kept that in this room, yeah. Alright, investigate the object. Should probably be messing around with the preliminal meter as well. I don't have a lot of places where I can use rose, though. Okay, so actually the knock can get me a curious hunch. That's good to know, actually. We're not that far into the day. Okay, actually, here's the thing. So I'm happy to know this. And we do have a sacrament site. Okay, so I am going to bring in Reverend Timothy after all. I wasn't expecting to, but this will do the trick. So, first thing is I need to generate the curious hunch. There it is in Camino Tizzer. Mrs. Kill, as every local gossip knows, came from France to marry Mr. Kill, but there's scant trace of the continent in her accent now. So let's say we'll get the pattern first. So we're going to do that with... We'll use the FET to generate the... pattern. Pattern generates the curious hunch. Reverend Timothy enjoys thoughtful conversation, prayer, and tea, and he'll offer his assistance in return for a 1 shilling donation to church funds. Actually, I'm not quite ready to do that yet. The thread parts, the weave is empty, the skies cry out. So it just occurred to me there's a couple things that I need to go in my favor. So I'll generate the curious hunch today, but I will actually not use it with Reverend Timothy until later. What I will do, though, is I will use bells and braziers to play around with some sky once I get my Fost back. Always a pleasure. Okay. So, Fost, bells and braziers, storm, Mazarine Fife. Alright, so we make the Ascendant Harmony. Now, I believe if we use the Ascendant Harmony with certain skills, we can turn that into a Didymos. And I think... I can't remember if it's Sacralamea, but I believe a couple of our higher level ones actually fall under that condition. Okay, the Sun Disfigured, a scroll of anthropoderm parchment written in the golden ink called Uzalt. The author of the text calls herself the Elegabline. Sometimes she seems to be Sunset Celia, the Watchman's name. Sometimes she seems to be Lady Tryphon, the Grail Log. It is unclear whether these are separate entities or the same person. It may be unclear even to the writer. The flaws in the Sun's plan are elucidated. The Sun's plan itself is never entirely clear, but it is a project of some kind to enter, possess, or surrender to the glory, the pure light above the mansis. This book suggests ways in which the plan might fail. Newman's Sun's weaknesses. The Sun's sins, the Sun's scars are our salvation. There are histories where they will trap us, prevent us from rising to eternity. Any librarian can use this to establish a history and complete the game, but the executioner can use it to win a particular victory. Okay, if I want to go crazy with Grail, I have that available to me, but I'm gonna leave it be for now. There it is in Camino Tizzer. Mrs. Kill, as every local gossip knows, came from France to marry Mr. Kill, but there's scant trace of the continent in her accent now. I suppose the other thing I should have tried to do is generate an old moment. That's still not off the table, but I'm going to need to hurry up on that if I want to do it. I'm not entirely convinced that that's the thing that I need to do today, though. The Twin Serpent Tantra. Just before the outbreak of the Great War, Alexander Sparrow, almost certainly a pseudonym, published leaflets claiming the influence of snake princes on world affairs. The text, called the Twin Serpent Tantra, was his primary inspiration. The Tantra describes the Great Hooded Princes, a dynasty of unclear origin, engaging in prayers, sacrifices, and poetry in honor of the Key Serpent, the Crossroads Twins, and the Mirror Queen. Negai encircles, Negai arises from wounds, Negai spares those who are already harmed. The Great Hooded Princes are described as having escaped from the history of their death to a history where they yet live. The text claims that there are now 108 of them, but in one of many instances of twinnedness, before they crossed from their death chronicle, there were only 54. Pattern, something fits just right. And Mrs. Kill, there 'tis and can be no tizer. Mrs. Kill, as every local gossip knows, came from France to marry Mr. Kill, but their scant trace of the continent interacts it now. Now, the funny thing about this one is I would have used that to see if I could generate an old moment from Auroral Contemplations, but my Faust is tied up. So I realized there wasn't too much. This is always a tricky one for Book of Hours, and I do usually need to thank the majority of the audience for being kind of patient with this, because I appreciate for some people there is a, how do I put this? Like, there's a difference in terms of what counts as progress in a game. So what I mean by that is, for some people, the idea of playing a game like Book of Hours and not unpausing for half an hour would be an example of just not knowing what it is to play a game. Whereas I think a game like this actually does encourage, being thoughtful, being, kind of approaching the game, particularly the way I'm doing it here, where I'm not really committing as many skills to get the elements of the soul. Like, I feel like a game like this, which does invite a sort of, reflection, like reading the text, rereading the text, those sorts of things. It's a different style. So I appreciate people not getting too crabby about the fact that, the overt progress isn't always as strong. But I think what's lying under, for those of you who might be feeling like this was a complete waste of time in terms of making progress in the game, there's a couple of big things that we found. So we've got the Curious Hunch. Actually, sorry, I should be making that right now, otherwise I'm going to forget. So we add the pattern, we add the preliminal meter. Curious Hunch, knit memories into certainty. So I believe with the Curious Hunch, what I'm going to be able to do is I'm going to be able to combine that with the Sacrament Ascite. Back in the Dawn period, the Sisterhood of the Triple Knot used this in the Rites of the Horned Axe. So what that will allow me to do is open up the Sealed Cell. Ooh, 12, hang on. I thought there was an 11 knock. I may need to double check that, but anyways, in principle, I should be able to open up another room, because I have a reliable way of generating Sacrament Ascite, and if I can generate a more powerful knock memory, that means I'm no longer waiting for Foggy Day to get my knock business done. That's the hope, at least. As always, we'll see how reality plays out. But on top of that, we've also taken steps towards getting more powerful sky memories. And if that happens, then that means that Mr. Kill will be able to open 2 different areas. Nope, not that one. Wait, it's the summit and... Oh, the Mist-Sunk Meadow. Interesting. Okay, that's good to know, actually. In any case, so those are 2 fairly big... the Mist-Sunk Meadow is actually a pretty important one. But yeah, so essentially what happened here was sort of the foundations have been laid for the next 2, potentially 3 rooms that I'm going to open. And in this case here, again, there's a somewhat simple answer in terms of opening up these rooms, and that's either commit more skills to the Tree of Wisdoms, which means that committing elements of the soul to the Tree of Wisdoms, basically I will level those up, and I'll get one extra. Every time I get a plus, I basically get an extra point for the relevant aspects. And then the other one is to roll the dice and see if I can bring in one of the special hires and see if they have an ability which is aligned with one of the rooms that I want to open up. And that is an option I think I'm going to have to start taking before too long. But again, it's kind of nice. This is one of the ways that I get to learn is I did take advantage of those workers quite early in my stream playthrough. So not taking advantage of them this time around is teaching me a few other things about the capabilities of the people that I can regularly rely on. And given that I have, 4 or 5 different histories that I'm going to commit by the end of all of this, it's just kind of nice to have a bit of variety in terms of how the game is played. But in any case, we will see. I expect that we'll see the full implementation of the work that we started here next week. But I realized that we spent more time paused than playing. Anyways, thank you very much for watching. This should be the last episode for the week, so I hope you have a wonderful weekend, restful weekend, and we will see you Monday for our continued journey as the artist through Hush House. Until then, take care.